Hello, it's Debbie from Living and Loving Beach to Bay, and I am back again with a kind of a sequel to spend a little bit of time trying to laugh and not cry over what happened in 2024, and 2025 is upon us. And I think that I called my last video a comedy of errors, but this video is really a housing update. So welcome to Living and Loving Beach to Bay. You know what I'm going to ask if you're enjoying these bi-weekly updates, everything about coastal Delaware, what it's like to live here, what it's like to work here, play here, thrive here. You know what I'm going to say? Subscribe. Don't want to subscribe? No worries. Just keep popping in and checking out my videos and maybe stay for the next one. So let's really take a deep dive into this video. We're not going to laugh. We're not going to cry. We're going to talk about what is really going on in Sussex County. So you may or may not know this, Delaware has 3 counties. There is Newcastle County in the very northern part of the state. Kent County really is in the middle of the state. And Sussex County is actually the largest landmass county in all of Delaware. And it really goes, as I often say, beach to bay. But there also is an awful lot of inland areas of Sussex County. Sussex County is got a heritage that is steeped in agriculture and tourism. So we know what the agriculture is all about. We know that anything that we plant in the ground and obviously can eat, et cetera, is so much better for us. But you know what's really, really good for us as well? Life in coastal Delaware. Life along that beautiful shoreline, toes in the sand, sunrises, sunset, running, walking, being outside, just really enjoying that vitamin D. But let's talk about the housing market, because if you're going to live here, you obviously need a place to live. So I would say that the housing market in Sussex County is as dynamic as our landscape, as our sunrises, as our sunset. So it really is a dynamic housing market. 2024, again, not a year with a whole lot of awards or accolades. It was a challenging year for many. It was exhausting, rates were too high, inventory was too limited, and of course, prices stayed elevated. Even though the rates were high and there wasn't a whole lot to buy or sell, home prices did still high. So that was really 2024, but what's going on in 2025? So we ended 2024, the median price for a home in all of Sussex County was approximately $539,000. And that did represent a increase from 2023. So, we've talked about it. Even though 2024 was not a real estate or housing year for the record books, it still was elevated. The prices were elevated, and at $539,000 for a median, that's a median price point. Yes, prices on the beach, much higher. Farther inland you go, you may be able to, watch those prices drop a little bit from that median price, but that was the median price in Sussex County. So I think it's important because if you're a buyer, you're very interested in, if I see a home, do I have to make a offer immediately? So I'm gonna actually talk about my own neighborhood right now. So I have a current listing in my neighborhood. It's one of 2. Got a lot of activity on my home. My home happens to be one of the homes that is in the very beginning of the community. And it is on, I wouldn't call it a busy road, but it obviously is closer to a main road than farther into the property. But I'm here to say to you that there are 2 listings in my community. One of those listings actually went under contract in 12 days. Now I'm a little envious because I want my listing to go under contract for my sellers as well. But that's an example of where a home is priced right, it's in a great community, it's got all those, hits all those boxes for a potential buyer. It can go under contract very quickly. But actually, the average days on market is up considerably. So we ended 2024 in Sussex County with it taking about 38 days on average. That's average. Now, there's going to be some aberrations there, just like the home that I talked about under contract in 12 days in my own, personal community. But the average days on market did rise to about 38. And that was truly double of what it had been at the end of 2023. I get asked this every day. Are home prices dropping? The answer is truly no, okay? So what they are not doing is appreciating. There was a recent quick little graph that actually is on all of social media that talks about in the last 5 years, home prices have risen 57%. So that means if you bought a home, and I'm just going to talk round numbers, if you bought a home 5 years ago at about $200,000, that home would be worth at least about $315,000 to $325,000 today. So that was the 5-year appreciation. Appreciation is expected to slow in 2024, but it is not going to depreciate. So the question I get asked every day, they say, oh, Debbie, you're in real estate. Are home prices dropping? They are not. They are stabilizing. They are not doing this, but they are not doing this either. So the answer is that home prices are stabilizing, will continue to appreciate. You will continue to, year over year, watch your home value go up. It is not going to go up 57% like it did in the last 5 years. It was a bit unusual, record appreciation, but yes, for the last 40 to 50 years, home prices have continued to go up. So it is still the absolute best investment, safest place for you to make a long-term, appreciating investment goal, generational wealth, all of the above. But you may say to me, but Debbie, I do see homes that are taking decreases. I see it on the MLS. I see it on Realtor.com, Zillow, all of the Homes.com, all of the national websites. Why is that happening? Well, that is happening because home prices are being marketed and listed above what the market will bear. So that is not price depreciation. That is homes that are being listed or marketed above where they should have been. So yes, you are seeing some of those price decreases. That is not home depreciation. That is really just the marketing and the listing of homes at an inappropriate or an elevated level that should not have been. So in a housing market like we're talking about, it's not 2024. It's not the comedy of errors. Okay, this is 2025. This is the year of possibilities. What do you need to do to be a strong buyer in this market? Still not enough inventory, okay? If you want to literally be a contender in this market, these are the things that you need to do to make sure that you are ready to make the offer, make the best offer possible, have the offer accepted, and literally in 4 to 6 to 8 weeks be handed keys and have that keys to dream coming true. First and foremost, get pre-approved, okay? Not everyone has, hundreds of $1,000s sitting around waiting to be applied to a home purchase. So get pre-approved. Work with a mortgage professional. I can guide you. I can certainly connect you to some of the mortgage pros that I absolutely feel really, really good about. But get pre-approved. Get pre-approved before you even put your toe in the water. So you know what your budget is. You know what your range is. You know what you should be looking. Buying a home is not a wish list. There's a wish list of things you want in the home, maybe the community you want to live in, the area, the schools, etc. You want it to have granite countertops. You want it to have updated appliances. You want a certain number of bedrooms. You want a certain number of bathrooms, powder rooms. That's all on your wish list. But a wish list is not a lack of a pre-approval. So get pre-approved, okay? Make sure you understand what earnest money is about, and do you have that available, and are you ready to immediately make that earnest money deposit? What is earnest money? Earnest money is almost like a sign of good faith that you're submitting a contract and recognize that you're going to be placing earnest money down. It's going to be held in escrow. It is typically 1 to 3 to 5% of the purchase price. It really does vary based on the price of the home, based on how competitive the other offers are, but it is something you do need to have readily available. This is not about tapping into a credit card. This is not about knocking on the door of a family member and asking for a gift letter. This is having an earnest money amount ready and willing and able to be placed immediately upon the ratification of a contract, okay? You want to consider the contingencies. And again, in a very competitive market, you want to limit the contingencies. What are contingencies? Number one contingency typically is an inspection. And while I am not here to discourage or encourage inspections, I think that they serve a purpose, especially if you're buying a mature home, okay? You really want to know what's under the hood, so to speak. You wouldn't buy a used car without lifting up the hood. So an inspection is certainly something to consider, but an inspection that's got a lot of additional kind of bells and whistles can be considered a negative. Other contingencies are financing. That's why you want to be pre-approved when you go into the home searching, buying, placing an offer process, okay? You don't want to walk in blind and say, well, I don't even know whether I can afford this home, but I'm going to write a contract, okay? So know what a financing contingency is. There's also one that it can be considered a detriment to an offer, and that's a must-sell addendum. Now, what is a must-sell addendum? A must-sell addendum means that you own a home that you need to sell before you can purchase the other home. Many a seller will consider a must-sell addendum. Some sellers will not. They will absolutely, if there's a must-sell addendum, they may not even consider your offer. But what a must-sell addendum does is it really places a time frame on you to sell your home so you can make the additional purchase or the new purchase of the new home. And the final thing that you really want to consider is how quickly do I want to settle? So you know if you're pre-approved, you understand what the earnest money is about, you're limiting your contingencies, and you've got a good time frame for closing. You know, in a perfect world, people want to close in 4 to 6 weeks. Sellers want to move on, buyers want to move in. If it's got a very extended close date, that can be considered a negative to some and a positive to others. Now, take for instance, here at the beach, okay, living in coastal Delaware. There are some sellers that may want to enjoy parts of the spring or parts of the summer before they vacate their property. On the other hand, there are buyers who are going to want to be in tomorrow because they too want to enjoy the best of the spring, summer, early fall season here in coastal Delaware. So those are all things to consider. Really, there are 4 prongs of how you can become a very determined and very much the front runner in the contract submission process. Pre-approved, know what your earnest money deposit is, limit your contingencies, and absolutely understand what time frame works best for you, and does that time frame work best for the seller from the standpoint of settling on that home. So I want to put a bow on the housing market in coastal Delaware. And I really just wanted to recap what each community strength is and really what it's noted for. So I think it's important to start at the top of coastal Delaware, which I always say is Lewis. So Lewis is historical and charming, okay? Rehoboth got a lot of family fun, and it is absolutely vibrant, okay? Bethany and Fenwick are considered slightly more quieter, quaint, family-oriented areas. So those are really all of your coastal areas. But then if you take Milton, Millsboro, Dagsboro, Ocean View, Frankfort, and Selbyville, each and every one of those communities, is noted for its charm. You know, many of those inland communities now are boasting a lot of new construction because they actually have the land where these new construction communities can go. But all of these interior communities are equally vibrant. They offer something unique, some unique perspective. They offer, obviously, tributaries and close proximity to all of those shoreline communities. I'll start in reverse. So Selbyville and Frankfort really are kind of the feeders to Fenwick and Bethany. Then you step into Millville and Dagsboro, again, somewhat of a feeder into Bethany Beach. Stepping into Millsboro and Milton, they're really feeders to Rehoboth Beach and Lewis. So you've really got this large expanse. There are many, many other communities and towns in Sussex County, but the 8 or 9 that I just highlighted really comprise what I consider coastal Delaware, and you know what I'm going to say, hit the subscribe, stay for another video. Debbie lives here, Debbie works here, Debbie plays here, and Debbie thrives here. Living and loving Beach to Bay. I hope you've enjoyed this quick snapshot of what the housing market looks like in Sussex County. This will not be the year of tears and disappointments. This is going to be the year of possibilities. If you're considering a move, if you're just browsing, if you just want to learn more, you know how to reach me. Thanks for popping by, and I'll see you again soon.